This is the Black Creative Handbook podcast with your host, Kassandra Lauren Gordon, and I am here with
Kai Samuels, owner of Gooddays.
Oh, sorry, I just talked over you, but Kai Samuels from
Gooddays, Texas and London.
Okay. I was gonna go.
Yeah.
So the Black Creative Handbook is all about the process stories, not about the success. If I can say it, the success stories. We want to help creatives, no matter what life stage they're in, from A to B. So the celebrities you see, the musicians, the content creators, the things and all that kind of glitz and glamour you see are successful, they had to get from somewhere, don't they? They didn't just rise to the top. And there's a lot of people who are killing it in the game and you don't always see them. And this is who we try to bring on the podcast today, so we can learn from them creatively, the practical steps from getting where you want to be. You could be, I don't know, at school, you're in a 9 to 5, you're in your business, and you're like, oh, I just want to do this. I want to have this creative moment. I don't know how to get there. I don't want to pay millions of pounds for a business coach. I don't want to do 10 million courses. And the courses just pile up in my course kind of portfolio, but I never do it. But I feel if I bought a course, I might have done it.
Yeah.
We want doers, we want people to actually do it. And Kai is definitely a doer. I only met him like for a short amount of time. I've been blown away from what he does in these creative streets. So Kai, in a few sentences, how do you describe yourself and your creative practice?
I describe myself most commonly as a fashion designer when somebody asks me that type of question. But when it comes to my creative practices, it's really like everything revolves around this brand that I have. So the best example is recently I've gotten into 3D design as well. I just like to be able to create from a really original standpoint. So if I'm making a video, I like to think of myself as a creative director. If I'm making clothes, I like to draw and create the designs myself, and things like that. So I feel like I'm a creative centered around originality.
Wow. Now, you have an accent. It sounds very American to me. So I don't know if you're assimilated enough in British culture. I just need to know stuff. I'm a bit slightly, well, I'm not British culture. I think sometimes I identify as Dutch or German, because I'm right straight to the point. And when people uses a lot of these language like originality and concepts, I'm like, I want to know what it means. So can you break down what you said, what like in layman's terms, what do you mean?
Okay, so when it comes to originality, I think one of the best examples is this sweater that I'm wearing, which is me. I think, I could have just grabbed, these are middle fingers, by the way, could have just grabbed stock middle fingers, but these are actually my hands. The hand that actually has this tattoo on it. So some of these fingers have that tattoo on it. I think when it comes to originality, I really mean being able to create something that isn't duplicable, if that's a word. Ain't copyable. Duplicable sounds cool.
All right, then I like it. Okay, originality.
Yeah, I can always guarantee it's not a word though, so we might have to just chop that part out. But yeah. So really something, because I made this brand around COVID. Everybody was kind of starting their own thing. I saw a lot of people starting their own fashion brands. And so
hey, it's just my brother just in the background. Didn't realize. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah,
I'm in my mom's house today, hence the different setup. For thank you, just giving me money from the shop. That's what we do. We just got to carry on. Jamal, is it all right to shut the door? Thanks. Okay, carry on.
It's that hustle.
It's the hustle.
Yeah, so it's really, I made it around, I saw a lot of people starting fashion brands, but I saw them taking logos. I saw really popular to take Murakami's logo, BBC Running Dog, and Vivienne Westwood. I think those 3 brands were just getting beat. They probably didn't lose a lot of bread over it, but they were just getting copied. Oh, and Bape as well, getting copied every which way. And I saw that as I was creating my brand, I was like, I want to stray as far away from that as possible. So everything I create, from a logo to character designs to, just the very basic if I put a person on a shirt, I want it to be a person that I know, that I took a picture of, and that I edited to put them on that shirt. And that's where my term originality comes from. It's just building something from its like very starting point was something that I had involvement with. It wasn't a stock photo.
Mm, okay. I'm just getting a bit distracted by my lovely brother. He's coming out. He thought he doesn't want to have no parts of this podcast. So now he's gone now. So hopefully, to the audio people, sorry about that. Okay, so I heard what you said. Right. So what is the continuity? So it seems like you get your inspiration from different places.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking about your brand, could you repeat your brand again? Oh,
Gooddays.
the Gooddays, right? Is it Gooddays?
Gooddays, yeah.
Gooddays. What would be the common thread? What is your signature style?
So the common thread, the best common thread, I just had this from some work I was doing earlier. This guy right here,
Mm-hmm.
the guy's name's Aldo, and that is the most prominent common thread. I put him on everything. He's within everything. Aldo K. Emerson. He's the real face of the brand. Like if I Gooddays becomes this big thing, eventually I'll start to disappear, and all people will recognize as the face of the brand will be Aldo K. Emerson. Um, so he's the most common thread, but another part of it is just a story that good days aren't necessarily a bright, sunny day. They're not necessarily stemming from something really good. Some of your worst days can lead to some of your best. And so it's really tied to me emotionally, whatever I go through. So there's been certain instances that maybe I go through something with a woman or something like that, and that feeds into my work. And I try to show that through a sort of image or composition of clothes. And then, there's a story for me. So when I'm on podcasts like this, when people start seeing more of my clothes, I can say, oh yeah, that was the cool little story or whatever, the secret meaning behind what I created.
There's so much to unpack. First of all, you were saying sometimes your bad days can be one of your good days.
Yes.
Explain that.
So one of your worst days can be one of your best. I mean, I think it's like a really common trope within film, but also it's something that happens in everyday life. You lose your job, you get kicked out of school, you go through this really bad depressive episode, and you'll find through losing something, you find something else. You lose your job, but then you find your passion. You lose your job, and then you come back to your passion. You get kicked out of school, and then you meet somebody that takes you here, that just brings you to this. It was in one of the worst, the worst time of my short life so far, that I reached out to somebody and got some really good advice and some ways that I can improve my life. And ever since then, that eventually brought me to Gooddays, and that eventually brought me to who I am now. I'd say I was a much worse person in the past, but through being a bad person and feeling really down all the time, I was so down that I was like, I want to be better. So it was from my worst days that I was able to reach some of my best, because at that point I reached out for something great. And I feel like that happens quite a bit. Somebody gets into a rut, and once you're at rock bottom, the only way to go is up. I think those are kind of some of the best analogies for it.
Wow, that sounds deep, man. That sounds very stoic as well, deep. Oh God, okay. And you mentioned about women. If you go for something with a woman, you put it in your clothes. It's like a Taylor Swift or Kanye West, something like Heartbreak. You put it in
Yeah,
your music.
very similar. So the first woman to ever break my heart was my grandmother when she passed away.
Oh,
And so
God.
that was it's just life, life comes, it goes. But the craziest thing about that situation was I was also going through my first breakup at the time. And it was like, it was really elementary stuff. It wasn't in elementary school. It was just like the first year of secondary school or high school for me. It was my first breakup. And it was just such a mix of emotions. I was almost worried more about the breakup than my grandmother's passing. But in reality, either way, I was like crawled up on the bed, bawling my eyes out like day in and day out. Got to a point where I was just like, yo, this sucks. Let me see if there's something I can do to make it better. Called up my dad. He's since then told me he didn't even know what to do when I called him, but he just gave me this book. I started reading this book, and it was the first time I've read on my own time for like years at that point. And then it was the first ever like self-help book that I've ever tried to read. So I read that. It opened my eyes to some things. I was still really young, still, thinking stupid thoughts, doing stupid things,
Oh,
didn't feel my best. Um, nothing like self-harm or anything. Just
okay.
yeah, nothing like that. But I was just down. And then but reading that book and just reaching out at that one point brought me, like I said, it just set up the path for me to start doing better and better and better and getting to the point where now where I can be on a cool podcast with a cool woman, Kassandra.
Ah, the flattery, Kai, the flattery.
Something
But
like
we're still
that,
gonna ask you the hard questions in these streets. I know about you slick with the ladies. I
yeah.
totally understand that. So your clothes are fire. You know. So yeah, I understand that. So you talked about the character, is it Aldo? You talked about your concept. We want to be practical. How did you get from the idea to actual reality? How did you get from idea to sketch to the logo
Yeah,
to the
so that
sweaters to the jeans to that? That's
yeah.
what I really want to know.
Yeah, so that's the cool part, and it stems back to that originality concept as well. It was I was in school. Well, I'll start with Aldo. I'll start with how that Aldo character started coming around. I was in school and I linked up with a friend that inspired me to draw back in primary school. I was jealous of him. I saw him drawing in his sketchbook and I was like, I'm gonna do that. So I started drawing. And and we built a mutual bond over that. But it wasn't until the end of secondary school that I, started speaking to him again. We had a class together. And I was like, you still draw? He's like, no, but my brother does. He's a graphic designer. And because we're cool, his brother was cool with me. I was like, yeah, I had this idea for a brand. This is kind of the image I'm looking for. And his brother created the first digitized um, Gooddays, Aldo image. And it was this logo right here. I'm glad that this was just on my desk. I promise I didn't set this up, but it was that right there, but fully colored and everything. And it had more to it. That's just a simplified version for clothes. But like I said, it stems back to that originality concept because I didn't just go on Fiverr or something like that to get it, which is completely, if you don't just have a graphic designer that or you don't have the facilities to make it yourself, go on Fiverr, just hire somebody for $1 or something. Get it how you have to get it, man. But I really like that story because after going to his brother, I ended up buying him like just a digital stylus for him to use on his iPad. Then he became my graphic designer. Like you said, it's the process. It's not the success story, it's the process story. And so I like the fact that, in my head, I'm kind of coming up with this person. You know what I mean? Like he didn't draw anymore. He didn't do any digital stuff. But then you'd talk to me and he'd be like, man, I'm really getting into this. I really like, I like the work and stuff like that. And, at first he was just doing everything for free just because he was my dog. And now I'm at a point where I can break him off some bread. So it's really just growing with somebody that I also have a personal connection with as well. So that's the designs, like drawing Aldo and stuff like that. And then when it came to making clothes, this is upcycled. I started with upcycling clothes. I was still am. I don't want to say
How? Explain upcycling to the audience.
upcycling. So thrifting, I go pick up a bunch of clothes. They had the bins in America. So you'd go in, you'd stand in a long line. They dump out just like tons and tons and tons and tons of clothes. And it's a massive warehouse in these bins. And they say, go. And you walk and you're sorting through clothes, trying to find what you like. A lot of people are in there to flip clothes. You might find a vintage shirt, whatever. I was in there just grabbing whatever fabrics, materials look cool. And I was in there grabbing whatever, compositions that I like, if the sweater looked nice, if the jeans look nice, whatever, just grabbing those. And it was like $1 a pound. So you get a pound of clothes, which is like half a kilo, 3/4 of a kilo or whatever, was $1 and stuff like that. So you'd walk out with just two big old bags of clothes for like $40.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and then I just start upcycling those, selling them.
Upcycle, how the process.
Yeah,
What
my
things
bad.
did you do to it to make it your own? What upcycling processes?
So I started with painting. Painting was my big thing. I just grabbed some, really, I was just using acrylic paints that I had in the beginning. And then I made some money and I started getting actual paints, fabric paints, um, and I'd post them. I made TikToks about them as well. Um, and that got kind of popular and just people started seeing me around school. And that's how I just started making like my initial funds, was that I was just making these clothes and I was really doing it more for fun at that point. Um, Before like I really started focusing on the brand and just painting on clothes. And then once I started really leaning into Gooddays and realizing, oh, this is what I want to focus on, I wanted it to become more professional. Painting on clothes is definitely professional. That's something that, I had to get back into. But in my eyes, it was screen printing, heat pressing. Screen printing is how I made this. It's the mesh screen. You put emulsion on it, or make the design on the screen. There's a bunch of tutorials. I ain't gonna get into it. And then it's, the process of putting the ink in the shirt, making the image. Heat pressing, you're like printing out a image, heat pressing it with this basically oversized waffle iron that doesn't make waffle prints, just a flat hot bed, presses down with a bunch of pressure, and that's heat pressing. Presses whatever image or vinyl or whatever you want into it. And so that was my version of professional. So I started leaning away from customizing clothes to um, having set designs and using screen printing more, using heat pressing
Hold
more,
on.
and
The
things
set
like that.
design bit, explain that. Because when I mean set design, I'm thinking about theatre.
Oh yeah, sorry. More when I mean set designs, I mean concrete designs. Like I have a design that I drew up, and now it's just more like a conventional fashion brand where it's like, this is the design, printed on this many shirts, market it, stuff like that. Instead of when I was customizing clothes, people were coming to me with like, oh yeah, I like this idea, I want this on that. And then I just start painting it and just go crazy and just do whatever I wanted with it. But there was more concrete designs, more of a streamlined process to making clothes at this point. Um, yeah, and so it was just leaning more into screen printing and heat pressing, which helped because it taught me how to do those things. But it also dulled my creativity a bit because I was so focused on having the image of a fashion brand and a fashion designer before really trying to just make cool things, be creative, provide something for people, that I enjoyed. I did enjoy that whole time period, but like I said, I feel it dulled my creativity a bit, um, trying to put on a front that I was this professional fashion brand.
Okay. You got your concept. You have your methods of operations of how you um, make your clothes and your fashions. Is everything up? Is everything 100% upcycled, which you do?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you still have your processes. How do you connect with your demographic, the people who buy into the brand, who
Yeah.
see
So
what you're doing? How do you connect and engage with them? How do you talk to them? How do you market to them? What is the process for that?
yeah, so this takes me back to Texas because that's my strongest demographic out there. And it was really a natural build with the whole customizing clothes thing. And then, I had two friends, really, really close friends, Scuba and Cinco, and they'd rep me to death. So I'd always make them custom clothes and they'd wear them around school. Scuba specifically, he'd always be wearing my clothes around school, hyping up the brand and stuff like that. So it was kind of like having agents and promoters at that point. Um, and because I was really, I don't want to say the only brand coming out of Austin, but out of the circle of people that I knew, I was the only one to have a fashion brand and be putting as much into it as I was, actually producing clothes, making new designs. Everything was original, which I feel really helped that everything was original. And it wasn't just text, it was like images and stuff like that. And so when it came to talking to the demographic, it was
Mhm.
just about saying, everybody hop on board. I'm creating this thing. Okay, I need models. And I'd grab people I knew, and I said, hey, you want to come model? And then eventually I got into a store. My cousin owned a store in Austin, and a really cool store, sales designer, Blank Creative Studios, great place. Um, I got into that store when he opened it, and I just have like 13, 14, 15 people come in and just we'll just do a big photo shoot. People will look at the clothes. People will just, it became a community space almost. And it was really grateful that my cousin was very inviting to everybody in there. But it became a community space. People just came to chill and stuff like that. And then that hit social media as people are posting, oh, here we are. And it was cool seeing because, we'll come back from a day of a photo shoot and then everybody has a new Instagram post. Everybody's posting on their story, and what they're wearing me, and they're in Blank Creative Studios because we have the professional camera. We, they don't get photos like that regularly, and so it was really cool seeing people come away from an event that I put up and be posting on their social medias and stuff like that, and that's what drew more eyes towards me. So it was really started off as like a friend supporting friends type of thing. And then as that support evolved, more people from the outside were seeing that support and just hopping on and being like, oh, this is cool. What's he doing? What's his name? What's this Gooddays thing? Da, da, da.
Understood. So what I'm getting is like, you had people hyping you up. You had true believers, like early adopters,
Yeah.
believe, saw the vision. So you got people on board to see the vision and see where he was going to go. And they were like your mouthpiece. You're walking like billboards and stuff like that, and they're just repping and repping and repping.
Yeah.
And then it just organically grew, and people just. So it's about being out there in the community in real life. And I think with COVID and stuff, it was really hard for me, with a jewelry brand to be out there. And I do fine jewelry, and it's very expensive to give out stuff. So I need to find my people who, it's not about the influencer. Oh, I want to have your stuff, but you got to post it for X amount of
Yeah.
thousand. Like people who really care, the super fans who really care about the brand and just be engaged be in a physical space. And that's what I'm trying to do now. So thank you for that. I'm just distilling everything. I'm just trying to learn, like, how can I be like you? Okay, so you're in Texas. Well, you were in Texas. Why are you here now in the UK? If your
Born
main
here.
demographic was there, why are you here? Come on now. I'm not
So
immigration, but why are you here?
born in the UK originally. So this is home. This is the first home. So that's the answer number one. Answer number two is this is kind of just the funny thing I have to tell you. You show a Texan that you're in London, that you're in Paris, that you're in Europe. It's like, dang, like, whoa, you show a Texan your clothes with a professional photo and video around the London streets. It's like a whole different world. It's like complete, it's like even farther than New York. I feel like New York and Cali are kind of like the most hype, coolest, trendy, different places in America, but like nothing compares to London. I'm going to Paris in October, and so that's just like
What are you going to do in Paris?
it's my dad's birthday on the night we leave, and then there's an event in Paris that we're going to from his birthday party, like not for his birthday, but like there's just an event there. So
You worldwide now. Okay.
just a
Mr.
little bit,
Worldwide,
but
Mr. European, worldwide.
yeah, but while I'm in Paris, I'm gonna just take that. I think we're only out there for 2 days. I'm just gonna take that opportunity, have a duffel bag full of my clothes, and anybody I see that let me put a camera on them. I'm gonna put a shirt or two on them, even if it's just me modeling and I have my dad taking photos and videos and stuff. I'll just be around Paris, flexing the clothes, just make a cool little video photo shoot out of it.
That's what I love. Like, I know you say that you're British, you're born here, but I just love that American entrepreneurial vibe. And I feel like, as I said, I think I identify as Dutch, German, and my drive is like kind of American. Like, I'm not too shy to like, yeah, my jewelry, can you wear this for me?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So
I noticed that too. When we first met at the VNA, it was actually before we met. you went out and you were talking, like they asked a question, whatever, they had some kind of a talk, and then they asked your name as well. And you didn't just go say, my name is Kassandra, or whatever, and go sit down. You're like, my name is Kassandra. I'm Kassandra the jeweler. On my Instagram, here's my Instagram handle, da da da. Like, and that's the first thing that I saw, that I was like, oh, I like that. Like, that's dope. You know,
Hey,
it's
but they like
powerful.
I don't naturally self promote, but if someone asks me, I will tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I will tell you my whole
100%.
life story if
Yeah.
you give me the platform. And it's all about amplifying. That's why I like doing this podcast, because it's all about amplifying voices and this long content where you can really understand people. Because you can just meet someone. See, if I didn't put myself out there, we wouldn't have met.
Probably not. True that.
So
True that.
that's why important, like having these podcasts, we're talking. People are like, oh, I've seen him around, but I don't know him. And this is a
Yeah.
great opportunity to know him and his brand, because sometimes, people always say you can do a 30-second pitch, and you can, but imagine you can talk about it for 40 minutes. You can get
Exactly.
in depth and we can know you. We will really, really know you. Okay, so we got the brand, the concept. So how does the fashion brand work in seasons? Do you work in seasons? How do you put a collection together? Are you anti-collection, or do you just do drops? How
So
does it work?
big on collections, big on collections of clothes that, fit an idea. Uh, First collection was Genesis. This next collection coming out is Odyssey. Um, so complications from Genesis has delayed Odyssey. Um, Complications like solely on my end. So right now there isn't a rhyme or reason to our collection drops. I create a collection, I create a marketing strategy, and I put it on a timeline to best increase sales, viewership, all that stuff.
Okay, this is what I want to know, because there's the thing with a lot of creatives, we have the ideas. So you have your ideas. What is I'm going to break it down. What is the idea for Genesis collection? Why did you do it?
Genesis, that word for the creation, it was the birth. In the Bible, it was like the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had just stumbled across that word. It was the title of a YouTube video or whatever, and it just fit really well. And so that's why it's titled Genesis. And then the ideas behind Genesis were this big red print of Aldo's face. And I wanted people to see Aldo. I wanted them to have a clear image of Aldo. The features that I want most prominent: his big smile, his I think they're called pie-eyed, where they have that little triangle slit in them. So the eyes, this big smile, and then the name Gooddays, obviously. I wanted those to be the focus. I wanted people to know we're a fully original and creative brand. So I take the tags off of everything, and I didn't have like woven labels or anything at that point. So I'd either paint something and make that a tag and sew it on, or I'd just cut out a leather square or something like that, a red leather square, and I just saw that on the back. So at least it was something other than blank and other than just a random brand's tag. And then we did a lot of custom work throughout Genesis as well. And that is another thing that drew in the community, because people were able to say, oh, I love that design. Can we do this color? Can I add this to it? And they'd see my friend Scuba, like I said, that's always wearing the clothes. And I was solely making him custom pieces. And like, oh, I love that you did for Brady. Can you do something like that for me? Brady is Scuba's real name. I loved what you did for him. Can you do that for me? Da, da, da. And it would just, so the custom work helped draw in the customer base, because it gave them something that they could put a hand in.
Okay.
Yeah, the designs themselves put the image in their subconscious, that so the next time I put out a drop, whenever they see Gooddays, things similar to it, they'll be drawn back to me. And then
How did you do it? Did you do it just on Instagram? How
so
did you get the consistency for people to identify with your creative brand?
it was really in real life and other people. I was lacking on the social media throughout that time, and so it's really like a blessing that I got the marketing I did out there through other people. um and that, and one person, like you said, like the super fans, and just he's not a fan. He's like really cool dude. This guy that went to my school, he has like a couple 100,000 on TikTok, 20,000 on Instagram. His girlfriend has like 2 million on TikTok and
What?
a couple 100,000 on Instagram, whatever. And they're popping influencers. Like they have
Mm,
like influencer drama. People make edits of them. Like they're proper like influencers like that.
mm-hmm,
Um, he saw my brand and he was like, he just instant, and it was actually Scuba. He was the one that, I heard about him, I knew about him. He was on the
mm,
back of my mind to speak to him because I knew about his following. But it was Scuba that initiated the conversation. And
mm,
this guy, his name's Dami,
mm-hmm,
incredible dude. Instantly, he was just fully on board. He's like, bro, um, I'll drop my other ambassadors for you. And I was like, you ain't got to do that. I don't want to take bread out of your mouth, nothing. But I'll drop my other ambassadors, paid ambassadors, like, and he'd come out to do photo shoots. He'd post me on his Instagram. Even to this day, my website is in his bio. And I haven't even done work with him in like a very extended period of time. We're getting back into it now for sure. But um, for an extended period of time, but he's consistently repping the brand, repping Gooddays. I'm one of his only Instagram posts that he has right now. And so it's just like um, other people being so down for the brand helped with marketing so much. It gave me a platform still, even when, I'm still a human, I'm still, young. And now I feel like I'm becoming more of a businessman, applying my time and energy to what I really believe and I want to do. But in the past, I'd fall off, I'd chill out too much, I'd do stuff like that. But it was the other people that had like genuine care for what I was doing that kept me in the limelight within the community that I had built. And so,
mm. Wow. So you had your friends, your adopted, whatever the people who's really into your brand, that helped in the community in real life and online. You mentioned about the marketing. What do you do? You
yeah,
do
so
personally.
for our marketing, I was the one taking the videos and photos in the beginning. So I take all the initial media. So I call people out for the photo shoots, we do the photo shoot, we take the videos, stuff like that. I edit the videos. And then of course when it comes to, well, let me start with that part. Again, back to that originality concept. I want to make the coolest, hippest video. I'm getting into like more short film territory based around
Mm,
my clothes and the area of my clothes. But that's what I'm all about. I really love filmmaking. I think it's a
mm,
really cool medium. But so it's just creating the coolest media. Sometimes that blurs the line. Like I almost forget to focus on the clothes and focus on like just taking a normal picture of the clothes. So many times I've walked away from a photo shoot taking all these pictures and I'm like, I don't have like one clear photo just put on the website for like the photo you click on when you want to buy something, which honestly I'm fine with if I have 50 really cool photos of people moving, people doing things, really artistic shots, and then I edited them to look even cooler.
mm,
um, I have such a two hard drives full, not really full, but
mm.
I just waste hard drive space. But full of photo shoots that haven't been posted, that have never seen the light of day. And now I'm kind of thinking I want to just do something kind of big with them, maybe a big collage, some cool video. But that's when it
Yeah.
comes to media, it's all about really original. Though I said it like a million times throughout this thing, but it's true. Originality and creativity. That's why I'm really excited to get into short films. I'm excited to be in London, because those are the type of medias that I want to create.
Okay, cool. We've got a couple more questions before we go. So next question is, what advice would you give someone who's starting out a fashion brand and how to make it pop?
Just do. You don't think too hard. Do not think too hard or hard. Just do it. If you have an idea to create, just do it. And if you don't have an idea but you're just passionate to start a brand, link up with people that know how to do art. Like I said, Fiverr is a good opportunity. Just keep putting time, keep putting effort. When you get the money, put the money into it too, and then put yourself out there. So those are the two biggest things. Just do, keep going, create, make, learn, and then put yourself out there at every opportunity and be consistent. Consistency is the biggest key, to be honest.
Understood. I usually ask at the end of the podcast, what type of best testimonials or best things what people said about your work, who has paid for it? So not your friend, someone who has paid for your designs.
One of the best testimonials wasn't even necessarily said. I was selling my sweaters for $30 originally. And when I put them up in the store that I was in, somebody came in. It was the first time somebody came in to buy something. It was like the first time I put something up in the store, actually. Someone came in to buy it. And then one of the owners told me I'd sell that for $75. It was like a different design than I normally did. And I was originally selling them for 30. And then I'd sold them at 30 because I knew people wouldn't think twice about it. You know, they're okay with spending $30. $75 is different. It's like, you know, most of the time you're sacrificing something else to pay for that $75. So the best testimonial was the fact that somebody paid $75 for my sweater, which was valued at $30 because it was only about 15 to make. Bought my thing for $75 and then liked it so much he was posting it. He reached out to me afterwards saying I love the sweater, and stuff like that. And I ended up just giving him a free shirt too, just because, you know, the things he was saying was really nice. So I think that's the best testimonial.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask you or you wanted to say before we bounce?
Follow Kassandra the jeweler.
Yeah, follow me, buy my jewelry, KLG jewelry, follow me. No, but no, I just feel like with your work and where you're going, it's just like I feel like we're kindred spirits. I just feel like I'm just so excited for you. I'm so excited in the next kind of 6 months, like what you're gonna become, and people, you know, see it here first, you know, I don't know in 6 months time or a year time, like you even gonna talk to me because you're like, you're so
never that.
You're like, oh, like who's this peasant? I don't know her.
Because in 6 months time, you're gonna have the most popping podcast. I'm gonna be in the line to get back on the show. Like, how you not gonna let me in? I was here before she even had a studio. Hey,
I know, right?
Kassandra,
I know. So hopefully speak it into existence. But no, but it's good. Okay, so for the people who loves audio stuff, how do we get in contact with you? What is your details? Obviously put it in the show notes, but what are your details?
Okay, so the most important one is the Gooddays. So Gooddays Instagram is aldos.gooddays, ALDOS.gooddays, all one word. And then the TikTok is aldos_gooddays, same exact thing, just with the underscore. Then if you would like to see me, it's not important, but I guess I'd say it, Ghost in Your Eye 4. That's my Instagram. I'm not gonna spell it out just to make it harder for you to find it. But Gooddays and all those are the people that you want to look at. Those are the scenes and pictures and videos that you want to see. That's the cool stuff.
Understood. Well, thank you so much, Kai. As always, this is the Black Creative Handbook with your host, Kassandra Lauren Gordon. It's all about the process stories, not the success stories, because we all have to start from somewhere. And we try to take away the smokes and mirrors of the creative scene because people make it so mystical and try to put lots of stuff on it. But it's doing the work and creating dope stuff. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna give you a That's so good.
Okay. All right, so thank you. And as always, we'll speak soon.
Speak soon. Bye, everybody.